So today we're joined by Emile Ouédraogo, who is a scholar, an expert on security matters. We're very happy to have you with us at the Africa Center for Strategic Studies.
Thank you very much.
Now, we'd like to talk about military professionalism on the African continent, and you authored a security brief, where you highlighted a number of things, a number of areas to look at in terms of military professionalism. Why is professionalism such a challenge for African militaries?
Thank you very much. First of all, we must admit that the vast majority of African armies are built on the ashes of the former colonial powers after independence. So after independence, these armies were not structured were structured only to defend the territorial integrity and to defend the regime in place. And when you talk about professionalism, it's about defending the territorial integrity. And we have seen that African armies, most of them are interfering in the political arena. So that there's a lot of military coups. We saw that there's a weak operational capacity in most of these armies. So it's how we have to question ourselves about the principles of professionalism. And when we look at the principles of professionalism, we talk about neutrality. We talk about respect of the rule of law and the constitution of the country. And we talk about ethics and values like loyalty and integrity. And all these principles are missing in most of the African armies. That's why I thought it is necessary to talk about professionalism in the African armies.
Right. So most of these things are missing in the African militaries. Now, some research has been produced that is arguing that there's a correlation between a nation participating in extensively and continuously in peacekeeping operations and its level of professionalism back home. Do you agree with this perspective?
Yes, I would tend to agree with this assertion because before the end of the Cold War, I would not say that African armies were more professional, but because of the rivalry between the two blocks, the Western Bloc and the Eastern Bloc, African armies were having, serviceable, good equipment, and they were able to at least to maintain these equipment. After the end of the Cold War, these equipments really vanished from the and it became more and more difficult. And now, what we have observing is peacekeeping operations bringing new equipment, bringing good training to African militaries. And as far as I'm concerned, it's improving the professionalism of the armies. When you look at what AMISOM is doing in the eastern part of Africa, you know that some armies were completely destroyed, but because of the peacekeeping operations, they were able now to have a viable army.
Now, outside that peacekeeping ambit, if we're looking really at combat operations and combat effectiveness, what would you say are the three to four things that African militaries and African military leadership needs to pay close attention to in order to increase the level of professionalism of the African army?
The first priority, I think, African leaders have to do is to get the army far away from politics. We have to depoliticize the environment where the military is operating. This is the first important thing. If the military is far away from politics, they will not interfere in politics. And second, I think that we have to pay close attention to the respect of the rule of law in the armies. By doing that, we can talk about inculcating values to the military so that they tend to respect the rule of law. And finally, we have to make sure that the military is respecting all the procedures so that they can avoid corruption, mismanagement, and bad governance in the armies.
Right. Are there any examples or case studies that you think might be worth sharing?
Yes, there's some good examples, but I just would like to name very few countries like Senegal, Botswana, Namibia, Cape Verde. They never witnessed a military coup, and they are they are subordinating themselves to the military, to the civilian elected authority, and these are good examples. Some countries are also improving, and I will not. I will just cite a very few, like Ghana, too, has coming from far away and is doing very good things now in improving the governance in the military, in the defense sector.